My wife found herself in Bali. With a realtor. Before the mango, before Bali, before I learned what betrayal tastes like in tropical air, it all started with a house. More specifically, our house. A 2-bedroom, 1.5-bath craftsman-style fixer-upper on the east side of town. It had a crooked mailbox, a tree in the front yard that dropped acorns like it hated pedestrians, and floors that creaked in a way that made you feel like the house was telling secrets at night. We'd been there for almost 5 years. Bought it after our 2nd anniversary. My wife, Kelsey, had a Pinterest board filled with rustic modern ideas, and I had a toolbox, a decent back, and a budget just barely big enough to entertain her dreams. Back then, we were the kind of couple people called solid. Not flashy, not toxic. We laughed at the same memes, ordered too much Thai food, and had our Sunday routines locked down. I thought that meant something. Turns out it meant I wasn't paying attention. One afternoon, Kelsey came home holding 2 iced matcha lattes and a glossy brochure. "Open house this weekend," she said, sliding it onto the counter. "It's in Maplewood." Maplewood. The neighborhood with Tesla driveways and free-range toddlers. "We're just looking," she said. I should have known. No one in our income bracket just looks in Maplewood. Saturday morning, bright and early. I had just poured my coffee and sat down with the sports section. Yes, I still read the paper like someone's dad when Kelsey bounced in like a golden retriever on espresso. "Come on, babe, we're gonna be late." I looked at the clock. The open house didn't start for another 40 minutes. But I knew better than to argue with Kelsey when she had that specific brand of manic optimism in her voice. So we went. I drove. She played music from her phone, some acoustic indie guy who sounded like he cried into his guitar for a living. The whole ride there she talked about quartz countertops and soaking tubs like we didn't have exactly $4,700 in our savings account. Then we pulled up to the house. And he was there. Brad. If overconfidence were a cologne, Brad had bathed in it. He was tall, one of those guys who never actually says how tall he is but stands in doorways like he invented gravity. Tan skin. White teeth. Blazer so fitted it could have been surgically attached. And loafers, no socks. The second Kelsey saw him, she lit up. "Hi," she chirped. "You must be Brad." He grinned, and I swear, birds chirped. "You must be Kelsey. And you're Ethan," I said, extending a hand. He shook it quick and firm, like I was a coworker he didn't plan to remember. Brad gave us the tour. The house was nice. Too nice. Huge kitchen, waterfall island, floor-to-ceiling windows that screamed clean me constantly. It was way out of our league, and I said as much. Kelsey brushed it off. "It's just fun to dream, right?" Brad smiled. "Hey, you never know. Interest rates are still decent, and we could always explore some creative financing." Creative financing. That's Realtor for you can't afford this, but I might string you along just enough to justify flirting with your wife. Okay, maybe that's not exactly what he said. But that's what I heard. The weird part? Kelsey hung on every word he said. Asked questions she didn't care about 3 days ago. Nodded thoughtfully like she understood escrow. When we got back in the car, she couldn't stop talking about Brad. "He's just so knowledgeable," she said. I replied. "And nice. Did you see how he remembered all those details?" "Totally," I said. "Like your name and the concept of socks." She laughed. I didn't. That night, she followed him on Instagram. I only noticed because she left her phone face up for once. And there it was at Brad the broker. Blue check, perfectly curated grid, more shirtless vacation pics than a men's fitness ad. His captions were a crime against grammar and sanity. Stuff like, "Success isn't owned, it's leased." And "Rent is due every day, bro." I made a joke about it. Kelsey didn't laugh. And that was the moment I felt it. The tiniest shift in the air. Like the creak of a floorboard in an empty house. Just a feeling. But I should have trusted it. The second open house? That was when I really started to notice it. Brad wasn't just a realtor anymore. He was her realtor. He'd smile at both of us, but somehow every sentence felt like it was aimed only at her. Every compliment had a little too much sparkle. Every laugh lasted a beat too long. And Kelsey? She soaked it up. I could have drawn a line then. Should have maybe. But I kept telling myself it was all in my head. Brad was just doing his job. And Kelsey, she was just excited. House hunting brought out a different side of her. A side I didn't fully recognize, but wanted to understand. Wanted to believe in. But then came the text. We were at home. Kelsey was in the shower. Her phone buzzed once, then again. Normally I wouldn't touch it. But this time my gut was already yelling. So I looked. "Brad, you looked amazing today. That color's dangerous on you." No emoji. Just those words. Plain. Intentional. My stomach dropped. I locked the screen and set it back down, heart pounding like I just sprinted a mile. I didn't say anything. Not then. I told myself I needed more than a flirty text. I needed proof. Because the minute I brought this up, there was no going back. It wouldn't just be suspicion. It would be accusation. So I waited. I watched. Over the next few weeks, Brad found more excuses to drop by. To check on the house we weren't even seriously listing. To give Kelsey market updates. Once, I came home from work and he was standing in our driveway, leaning against his Mercedes, sipping an iced coffee like he was born there. Just showing Kelsey a few staging ideas, he said, flashing that toothpaste ad smile. I nodded, bit the inside of my cheek, told myself to stay cool. But I started tracking the pattern. He texted. She smiled. He called. She left the room. She started wearing makeup on Saturdays, the no-makeup kind that's actually more effort than a full face. She got a spray tan just to feel better. And one afternoon I came home early and found her watching one of Brad's Instagram lives like it was a TED Talk. I stood in the hallway, just listening. If you want to manifest success, you gotta treat yourself like a limited edition, he said. She smiled at the screen. Whispered, God, he's so smart. That was when I knew. This wasn't just a vibe. This was a slow leak in the foundation of our marriage. And it was only getting bigger. 3 weeks after the market update driveway visit, Kelsey dropped the B word over dinner. I signed up for a retreat, she said, picking at her salmon. I looked up from my plate. What now? A yoga retreat, she said, like I was the one being slow. In Bali. It's spiritual. Women only. 2 weeks. Detox, meditation, energy realignment. I blinked. Bali like? Indonesia. She nodded. I need to reset. Everything's been so stressful lately. I glanced around at the calm, quiet dining room of our 2-bedroom house, the candles flickering, the golden retriever asleep at our feet. Real high-stress war zone we had going. Okay, I said slowly. And this just came out of nowhere? She took a sip of her wine. I've been thinking about it for a while. Honestly? I feel like I've been living someone else's life. Now here's the thing. I'm not the kind of guy who tells his wife she can't travel, can't be independent. But this felt off. Like a magician saying, now look closely at this hand while the other's already palming your wallet. I asked who was organizing the retreat. She gave me a name I didn't recognize. Some wellness influencer who apparently taught people how to breathe more efficiently and charge their crystals with intention. I asked if any of her friends were going. She shook her head. No, but it's better that way. I'll meet new people. It's about growth. She said it like that, growth, like she'd trademarked the word. That night, while she packed a suitcase full of linen pants and facial mists, I stared at the ceiling and felt something sour in the back of my throat. I didn't have proof. But I had suspicion. And sometimes that's worse. Because suspicion comes with hope. Hope that maybe you're just being paranoid. Hope that maybe she really is just going to find herself. Hope that you're wrong. But let me tell you something. Hope can make you ignore a hell of a lot of warning signs. Like the sudden need for international phone plans. Or the brand new bikini she hid in her gym bag. Or the fact that 3 days before she left, she deleted every photo of us off her Instagram. Just cleaning up my profile, she said. Minimalism. Sure. Minimalism. Like our marriage was clutter. Kelsey left for Bali on a Wednesday. She kissed me on the cheek, wheeled her suitcase to the Uber, and waved like she was heading off to summer camp. I stood at the window watching the car disappear down the street, feeling like I'd just let something important walk out of my life and into someone else's arms. I didn't say it out loud, but my gut had already filed the paperwork. Something was off. The first few days, I tried to keep things normal. Went to work. Took the dog on longer walks. Ate like a bachelor, frozen pizza and cereal in the same sitting. Kelsey sent a few photos. Palm trees. Smoothie bowls. A beachside yoga mat at sunset. All with captions like feeling centered and letting go. Letting go of what exactly? And then for days in, I got the DM. It came from my friend Mark's girlfriend, Jen. We're not super close, but we follow each other on Instagram. She sent me a screenshot with the message, "Hey, this popped up on my Discover page. Thought it looked familiar." I opened the screenshot and nearly dropped my phone. There it was, a photo of Kelsey. Laughing. On a beach. Wrapped in someone's arms. Not someone. Brad. Shirtless, smiling, and clearly not in Bali for the real estate market. The photo wasn't on Kelsey's account. It was on some travel influencer's page, tagged casually like it was just another cute vacation couple. No names. Just hashtags, hashtag Bali love, hashtag soulmates, hashtag sunset goals. My blood ran cold. I double-checked Kelsey's itinerary email. Wellness retreat. No guests. Group excursions. No mention of Brad. I sat on the couch, staring at the photo like it was a police sketch of betrayal. So that was it. That was the growth. I didn't message her. I didn't call. I just watched. And over the next 48 hours, more breadcrumbs dropped. A video of her laughing in a pool while someone off camera said, "Babe, splash me again." A mirror selfie in a hotel room that didn't match any of the retreat's photos. Another tag, another post, another person capturing moments she never sent to me. It wasn't a yoga retreat. It was a romantic getaway. And my wife had left me behind to find enlightenment in Brad's tan, gym-sculpted arms. That's when something inside me clicked. I've been passive long enough. Watching. Guessing. Hoping. No more. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was war. She landed on a Monday. Her flight came in late afternoon and I made a point of not picking her up. I texted, "Let me know when you're home." No emojis. No warmth. Just enough to keep her guessing. I was waiting in the kitchen when she walked through the door, suitcase rolling behind her, face glowing like a coconut-sponsored influencer. She looked tan, rested, and suspiciously guilt-free. "Hey," she said, dropping her bag. "I missed you." I didn't hug her. Didn't move. Just nodded. "How was the retreat?" She launched into a monologue, words like transformative, grounding, exactly what I needed. I let her ramble, watched her hands move like she was casting a spell until she finally said, "You seem quiet." "Everything okay?" I looked her straight in the eyes. "Yeah. Just wondering how Brad's doing." The smile froze on her face like I'd hit her with a taser. What?" she stammered. "Brad," I said. "Your yoga partner." Bali looked amazing. Especially that sunset photo. You know, the one where he's holding you like a man who hasn't sold a townhouse in weeks. Her jaw dropped. "You were spying on me?" I laughed. Loud and humorless. "Spying? No. I got sent a public post. Apparently, Bali's a hotspot for soul-searching and digital evidence." She crossed her arms. "I didn't plan for it to happen. It just did. There it was. The cliché. Right on time." "Oh, it just happened?" I said, leaning on the counter. "Like you tripped and fell mouth first into Brad's abs?" She tried to guilt me. Said she was confused. Said she still loved me. Said Brad wasn't even that serious. Then why fly halfway across the planet with him? I asked. She didn't have an answer. So I gave her one. "You wanted an escape," I said. "You wanted Bali to feel like a reset. And Brad was just the human equivalent of an Instagram filter." I told her I'd already spoken to a lawyer. That her stuff could stay for now, but she'd be moving out within the week. No yelling. No drama. Just business. She cried. I didn't. Because this wasn't heartbreak anymore. It was clarity. And if she was going to find herself, she could do it on someone else's dime. There's a weird calm that sets in after you drop a truth bomb that big. Like your body knows the fire's already been lit. And there's no point running around trying to save the furniture. It just watches it burn. Quiet. Still. Almost peaceful. That's how the house felt the day after Kelsey got back. She stayed in the guest room, though calling it a guest room is generous. It was more of a glorified storage closet with a mattress on the floor and a stack of unopened Amazon boxes in the corner. Still, she didn't complain. Probably too embarrassed to. We moved around each other like ghosts. She tried to talk a couple times. Started sentences like, "I just think maybe if we," or "What if we tried?" But I didn't bite. I wasn't interested in closure. I was interested in moving forward. Solo. The lawyer had been clear. Don't argue. Don't fight. Don't let her drag you into emotional gymnastics. Just keep it clean. Get it done. And to her credit, she didn't push too hard. Maybe she knew the jig was up. Maybe Brad had already started fading from view. Turns out, the fantasy version of someone doesn't always survive real-life logistics like bills and responsibility. I started cleaning. Not just tidying, deep, aggressive cleaning. Like I was scrubbing away her presence. Her coffee mug? Gone. Her decorative throw pillows with dumb phrases like, "Breathe deep. Laugh loud." In the donation bin. Her scented candles that smelled like trees on fire? Trash. I even took down our wedding photos. Didn't rip them up. Didn't smash the frames. Just slid them into a box and labeled it history. Felt good. Not petty. Not angry. Just necessary. Meanwhile, texts started rolling in. Friends, co-workers, even her sister. Everyone asking what happened, why we weren't posting together, if the rumors were true. I kept it vague. We're going through some things. Let her explain it, if she could. Then came the worst part. The pity looks. From people who knew. You know the look. That slow head tilt. The "You okay, man?" That's half concern, half rubbernecking. I played it cool. Because the truth was I was okay. In fact, I felt more like myself than I had in months. Maybe years. Because when someone shows you who they are, believe it. The first time. The Bali time. And once I believed it, I could finally breathe again. There's a strange thing that happens when your marriage detonates in front of you. You lose your appetite but gain a weird sort of energy. Like your body's trying to survive off pure adrenaline and caffeine-fueled spite. That's what I call the divorce diet. I dropped 12 pounds in 3 weeks. Not on purpose. I just stopped craving food the way I used to. Didn't realize it until I threw on a pair of jeans and they sagged like I borrowed them from a scarecrow. But it wasn't just the weight. I started going to the gym again. At first just to do something. Anything that wasn't sitting in the living room staring at the spot where her monstera plant used to be. I walked in like a guy who didn't belong. Hoodie. Hat low. Headphones in. No plan. Just vibes. By week 2 I had a rhythm. Mornings before work. Headphones blasting angry playlists. Lifting like my heartbreak was buried in the dumbbells. There's something therapeutic about pushing metal around when your life's in shambles. I wasn't there to get shredded. I was there to feel like I could hold something heavy and not break. Even if it was just iron. And weirdly enough, it helped. So did my playlist. Full of songs that sounded like they were written by guys with trust issues and tattoos. You know the ones. After a few weeks, people started noticing. My coworkers made jokes. My neighbor called me fit divorced guy energy. Even my mom said, "You're looking, well? Are you okay?" I was okay. And every time I benched another plate, I got a little more okay. Kelsey noticed too. She came by to grab more of her things and I caught her staring. Not in a flirty way, more like confused admiration. "You've changed," she said, watching me load a box into her trunk. "Yeah," I replied. "I stopped carrying dead weight." She didn't say anything to that. Just got in the car and drove off. And for the first time in a long time, I felt light. Not because I'd lost weight, but because I dropped her. It started as a joke. A few guys from work were asking how I was doing and I gave them the short version. Wife cheated, it sucked, but I was surviving. Someone asked who the guy was and when I said our realtor, there was a beat of silence. Then one of the guys, Dylan, snapped his fingers. "Wait, Brad?" Tall guy, weird tan line, smells like cologne and commission checks. I nodded. Dylan made a face. "Dude, that guy sold my cousin a place last year." She said he was real, involved. Like, texting her after hours about design inspiration and calling her gorgeous during walkthroughs. At first, I thought maybe Brad was just one of those flirty types. Sleazy, sure, but not necessarily predatory. Then another guy chimed in. Pretty sure he hit on my sister when she and her husband were looking. She said he made it weird when her husband wasn't around. And just like that, it clicked. Brad wasn't some accidental temptation. He was running a full-blown pattern. Like a guy who thought being a realtor gave him some divine right to play house hopper with vulnerable couples. So I did what any curious, slightly bitter man with free time and Wi-Fi would do. I started digging. I combed through his tagged Instagram posts. Looked at the people who commented on his shirtless photos and motivational quotes. I followed hashtags. I scrolled comment sections. And I started to see it. Different women. Different houses. Same charm routine. Always a selfie. Always a vague caption like, "Helping dreams come true Dizzy," or "Another happy home and happier client." I reached out to a couple people. Casually at first. "Hey, just curious, did you work with Brad? How was that?" The responses came fast. One woman said he flirted constantly and made her uncomfortable. Another said her husband almost backed out of buying because Brad kept accidentally calling late at night. One even said he tried to kiss her after a closing celebration dinner. Pattern confirmed. Brad wasn't just a one-off mistake in my marriage. He was a career cheater. A dude who sold square footage by day and wrecked relationships by night. And somehow Kelsey had bought what he was selling. Literally and metaphorically. I didn't know whether to laugh, get angry, or send him a LinkedIn endorsement for manipulative behavior and unethical seduction. Instead, I poured a drink, pulled up his profile, and started planning the next move. Because if he thought I was just another sucker in his list of conquests, he was about to learn I wasn't in the market for revenge. I was already closing. About a month after she moved out, I got a call from an unknown number. Didn't recognize it. Almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me and I picked up. Ethan? It was Kelsey. Her voice was different. Tired. Not the breezy, blissed-out tone I remembered from her Bali selfies. No trace of essential oils or enlightenment. Hey, I said, flat. She hesitated. Do you have a minute? I did, technically, but I wasn't about to make it easy. I'm about to head out, I lied. Make it quick. Long pause. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. For everything. For how it all happened. I waited. No need to rush to fill the silence. She continued. It's not what I thought it would be. This whole thing with Brad. It's not. I thought it would feel different. I almost laughed. Almost. Instead, I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. Different how? He's not who I thought he was. He's self-absorbed. Obsessed with his brand. He gets weird when I don't post about him. I feel like I'm dating a motivational poster that yells at me to drink protein shakes. Now I did laugh. Softly. Just once. She didn't. I thought I was finding myself, she said. But I think I was just running. Classic. Yeah, I said. Running straight into the arms of a guy who thinks tank tops are a personality. She exhaled. I deserve that. No, I said. You deserve exactly what you chased. She didn't respond. There was a long, heavy pause. Then she said, Do you ever think about us? I didn't answer right away. Mostly because I didn't know how to explain it without sounding cruel or worse, nostalgic. Sometimes, I said, but only to remind myself what I won't tolerate again. She made a small sound, somewhere between a laugh and a sigh. I miss who we were, she said quietly. I closed my eyes. Let that hang in the air. Who we were doesn't exist anymore, I said, because one of us stopped being that person. She whispered, Yeah. And then, mercifully, she let me go. Take care, Ethan. I hung up, not out of anger, out of peace, because her new life, the one that looked so shiny and enlightened on Instagram, it was already crumbling, and mine was just starting to look pretty damn good. Some people say closure is a myth. I say it's a Sunday afternoon, a golden retriever asleep on your foot, and a glass of whiskey that burns just enough to remind you you're alive. It had been a few months since the call. Since the Bali fallout. Since the version of my life that included Kelsey and Brad and all their filtered fantasies burned itself out. And honestly, I felt good. Not movie ending good. Not montage good. Just steady. Like my life had found a lower gear and I was finally cruising without hitting potholes every 10 feet. I was back in a rhythm. Work was consistent. Gym became habit, not therapy. And my dog Max, a 6-year-old golden with more emotional intelligence than most people I know, was thriving. We had our own little routine now, morning walks, shared breakfasts, he got the crust, and quiet evenings on the porch. One night, after a long week, I poured a drink and sat outside while Max snored beside me. There was this stretch of sunset that hit the trees just right, the whole sky on fire like it was trying to outdo itself. I raised my glass to it. To rock bottoms, I muttered. And then I laughed. Because that's what it was. My own personal rock bottom. Not a dramatic crash, but a slow descent into a version of myself I didn't recognize. A guy who ignored his gut. Who let someone else write his story. Never again. I checked my phone. No messages from Kelsey. She'd gone radio silent since the call, which was a blessing. I didn't need the temptation of what-ifs. I didn't need drama wrapped in nostalgia. Instead, I had peace. And space. And something else too. A text from Denise. Still up for that drink next week? Denise, my new realtor. Sharp, funny, brutally honest. Helped me list the old house, sell it, and find something smaller, just mine. She called Brad a walking ego with a credit score. We got along instantly. I looked at the message. Smiled. Then I scratched Max behind the ear and said, What do you think, bud? He wagged once. Approval granted. I texted back. Absolutely. And just like that, the chapter was closed. Not with a bang, but with a dog, a drink, and a second shot at something better. Denise wasn't the rebound type. She was the woman who shows up when you're finally done making excuses for red flags and emotional chaos. The kind of person who doesn't need to take over your world. Just makes you want to show up better in it. We met for that drink the following Thursday. A small bar tucked between a bookstore and a bakery. Quiet, warm lighting, and a bartender who poured like he was trying to make you forget your ex by the second round. Denise walked in wearing a leather jacket and confidence like cologne. No fake smiles. No small talk. Just, "You look good," as she slid onto the stool next to me. "You too," I said. "Didn't know revenge looked this cool." She laughed. "Please. I don't do revenge. I do upgrades." We talked. About work. Life. Awful clients. I told her about Max and his crust-eating breakfast habits. She told me about her boxer, Luna, who once ate an entire rotisserie chicken. Plastic and all. We had 2 drinks each. Nothing wild. But the kind of night you remember because nothing felt forced. No landmines. No pretending. Just 2 people who'd been through enough to know what they didn't want anymore. When we stepped outside, it was raining just enough to make the sidewalk shine. She pulled her jacket tighter, looked at me and said, "You're not who I expected." "Better or worse?" I asked. "Smarter," she said. "Stronger. A little wounded, but in a way that makes you pay attention." We didn't kiss. Didn't need to. I walked her to her car, said goodnight, and got in mine with the heater on full blast and a smile I didn't try to fight. The next morning, I woke up to a photo of Luna and Max, side by side in a split screen she'd made on her phone. Caption, "Power couple? Maybe. Or maybe just 2 people and 2 dogs, finally getting a soft place to land." It was a Tuesday afternoon when the video hit my phone. Sent by Mark, of course. The guy's practically a truffle pig for online drama. No greeting, no explanation, just a link and the words, "You have to see this." I clicked. And there it was. Brad. Shirtless, again. Standing on a beach, could have been Malibu, could have been a green screen. He's holding a mango, biting into it like he's auditioning for a cologne ad called Tropical Regret. The caption? "When your queen turns out to be a court jester. Real kings stay unbothered." My first thought, oh, this is gold. My second thought, he's spiraling. I scrolled. The comments were brutal. Someone had linked a thread, turns out one of his past flings had gone full whistleblower. She posted screenshots, tagged women from other cities, and suddenly the comments section was a bonfire. Kelsey's name came up more than once. Apparently, she left Brad 2 weeks earlier. Moved out of whatever sad studio they'd been renting. Rumor was she caught him demaying a 23-year-old Pilates instructor and trying to write it off as networking. I shouldn't have smiled. But I did. Not because I wanted her miserable. I really didn't. But because there's a weird kind of satisfaction that hits when you realize someone finally sees the truth without you having to say a damn thing. I didn't reach out. Didn't say told you so. Didn't throw any salt on the already mango-soaked wound. Instead, I shared the video with Denise. She texted back, "This man is a midlife crisis in cargo shorts." I replied, "Correction, he is the crisis." We laughed about it over dinner that weekend. Just the 2 of us, Max and Luna curled up under the table like furry little bodyguards. And when she raised her glass, I asked, "To what?" She thought for a second, then smiled. "To mangoes," she said. "To seeing them for what they really are," I added. We clinked glasses. And somewhere, across the internet, Brad probably uploaded another shirtless rant. But that wasn't my problem anymore. Because mango? Mango ain't so sweet after all. It didn't happen overnight. No single day where I looked in the mirror and thought, hell yeah, comeback achieved. It was more like slowly turning down the background noise of old wounds and realizing, at some point, they stopped demanding attention. I got a promotion. Nothing flashy, just a bump in title and pay, but enough to make me feel like I was steering the ship again. My weekends weren't swallowed up by resentment or errands for someone else's Pinterest dreams. I spent them hiking, fixing up my place, and finally trying that woodworking project I'd kept putting off for later. Later had arrived. Max was thriving. Luna came over so often it felt like we were in a joint custody agreement with none of the paperwork. And Denise? She was still around. Still sharp, still hilarious, still the kind of person who makes you feel like you're not auditioning, just living. One Saturday, we hit a flea market. I saw a sign that read, "Growth looks good on you." I took a picture. Not for Instagram. Just for me. That night, we hosted a little cookout. Nothing big. A few close friends, burgers on the grill, the kind of music that makes you sway without thinking about it. Mark brought craft beer. Someone brought homemade peach cobbler. And for the first time in ages, I didn't feel like I was missing anything. Later, after everyone left, I stood in the kitchen doing dishes. Denise came up behind me, slipped her arms around my waist, and just stood there. No words. No need. And that's when it hit me. This was the real retreat. Not Bali. Not Brad. Not some fantasy sold through curated photos and temporary escapes. This quiet, genuine, beautiful simplicity was the thing Kelsey was searching for in all the wrong places. And I didn't find it halfway around the world. I found it right where I was. In showing up. In healing. In letting go. My comeback season wasn't about proving anything to anyone else. It was about remembering who I was before I bent myself to fit someone else's idea of enlightened. And damn, it felt good. Here's the thing no one tells you about betrayal. It doesn't end in the moment. Not when you find out. Not when you confront them. Not even when they're gone. It lingers. In your playlists. In your favorite coffee mug. In the way you second-guess every good thing for a while, like joy might be booby-trapped. But over time, the wreckage becomes a roadmap. You learn to look at what broke, not just with anger or regret, but with curiosity. Where was I silent when I should have spoken? Where did I choose comfort over truth? Where did I confuse consistency with love? Turns out, getting burned by the person you trusted most doesn't just teach you about them, it teaches you about you. The you that let things slide. The you that accepted crumbs and called it a meal. But if you're lucky and honest, you start asking better questions. You start setting better boundaries. You stop trying to fix people who don't want to be whole. And eventually, you stop flinching at peace. You stop apologizing for wanting something steady. You stop waiting for the other shoe to drop and just walk barefoot through the good stuff. So yeah, my wife cheated. My marriage imploded. My life got a hard reset. But I got my damn self back. And now I know, next time someone says they need to find themselves, I'll let them. From a distance. I've got better places to be. And no more time for mangoes.